Alright, so halfway through turn 2, the Allies, having gone first, have completed the entirety of their turn. Was a eventful turn without being dramatic in any real way. Lots of step losses on the Axis side. Take a look at that first, actually. We see 11 Italians lost on this turn, 3 Germans, 1 Italian aircraft step, and only 2 Americans. So pretty good trade, I would say. The Allies looking to be aggressive early on when the Axis defensive positions are still forming, trying to pick off steps where possible. Rebuilds are fairly easy in this game, but certainly not that easy to replace that. So the less standing in front of us, hopefully that will hold us in better stead as the game advances. So Allies feel pretty good about their situation at the moment. They were able to clear the encircled unit in this hex here, where the 2nd Armored battle group is. Fought through, relieved that unit, fortified those positions. Weakly holding this line at the moment, though it's not really a sustainable defense, but the positive is that the Germans probably need to pull out of here, so just to cover up the rest of the map. With that in mind, we're trying to push this way to force the Germans to meet these new positions that we're opening up. 2nd Armored in earnest is starting its push towards Palermo. Hopefully we can free up the entirety of that division to join in that attack. Managed to seize a river line here as well, as the Americans pushed up to one more, which is fairly thinly held, probably will be reinforced in the next turn here, or the next half of this turn. Not really too much else to speak of in the American areas. Landed more of their troops with their landing craft, brought in more of the 82nd Airborne, losing 1 to a failed roll, but they will be able to make a trade from 1 unit from the dead pile to one of the remaining battle group. So we'll have a decent force of the 82nd Airborne on the map here. So into the British sector, the Canadians pushing through in this pocket here, trying to put some pressure, or at least the appearance of pressure, onto the possible backline of the Panzer Division here. We were planning on attacking that MX battalion in this turn, but a failed barrage and the supply situation in the British sector made us second guess that and ended up not going for it. So further up the line here, Augusta has been captured on this turn. I erred in my decision making, I think, as the Germans there in garrisoning those points. Just the amount of force that could be concentrated towards Augusta was immense, and ended up losing 4 steps in the defense there. I don't think the British didn't lose a damn thing in taking it, so that's another port. It's a 3T capacity at the moment, but we'll take it. That's 3T more per turn the British can bring onto the map here. So that AR-5 unit was initially defending in that hex, but after my last video I swapped that because I realized the doom of Augusta, and I'm like, that's a stupid decision, and I don't want to lose an AR-5 unit over that little piece of stupidity, so I just made a straight swap for movement there and corrected my mistake. No, the British pushing forward in force here. The Germans really now have to consider, do we hold these river lines, or do we just start pulling back to Catania in and around Mount Etna with stronger defensible positions? I think that is what they need to do, because their flank will be compromised soon if the Hermann Göring Panzer Division decides to pull out, which I think they need to. So forces could be driving into there. Oops. And that would not be good news for these positions. So probably a slow pullback, maybe just holding the river line straight through here. I'm not sure, actually. It's either abandon it entirely or commit to it. And I think we're going to have to abandon it, because this force facing us here will make short work of these units. So we will be able to distribute the Fallschirmjägers to help in the defense here as well. And there is more coming onto the map in this turn. So I guess that is it for halfway through turn 2. Feeling quite confident, I think, as the Allies at this point. The Germans and the Italians melting away, at least their weak units melting away very quickly at this onslaught. So, and the supply situation is only going to get better for the Allies from here, unless they can continue to barrage with their bombers. But without the counterattack hitting these beachheads, we can't entirely shut down the supply situation. So they will just slowly build up stocks and keep advancing forward. So it's a delaying action we must fight as the Germans and the Italians here, and that's going to be difficult with the low quality of some of these troops. So, alright, so we will go on to the second half of the turn here and see what the Germans can do to try and respond to the current situation. Alright, so turn 2 is now complete. Really consisted of the Italians and Germans fortifying some new defensive positions, beginning to pull out from our engagement ahead of Gela here, pulling back towards Catania with these forces and just fortifying the Catania area. Nothing really to write home about in terms of on-map movements and whatnot here. So the real interest again came from the Luftwaffe. Very aggressive attacks towards the British Navy and the British Air Force, successfully sweeping all the fighters out of the air here again, and not inflicting many step losses this time, but taking a few of their own. Ended up directly hitting a destroyer, so 1 point of damage onto that, as well as DGing 3 ships total here, so including the aircraft carrier, in the exploit phase. So what that's going to mean is if I get a double turn here, we have potential to kill this destroyer, maybe damage another, and potentially damage this aircraft carrier. So very interesting to see where that goes. Barraging these hexes is very dangerous for the Air Force. Each of these ships has a flak value. They black square with the 1 in it there indicates the flak value of that ship. So we were attacking with a flak value of 6 total on this hex, because you have to add all the flak together. I think it was 9 total on this hex as well. So we definitely took some hits, and the attrition is starting to leave that really damage the Axis air forces, but they're making their presence known, that's for damn sure. So alright, so we'll roll for initiative now and get into turn 3, and it's going to be very interesting to see if we can seriously damage some ships there. So alright, we'll roll, and the British will be on the red here. And the British win the initiative, British and the Americans. And shit. I think just for the sake of the ships, we may want to take that. I am going to think this one over. So we could hand a double turn. We're very dangerously close to handing double turns to the Germans here. So really difficult to think about. I think the ships is going to sway us into taking the turn. I think both sides wanted to take initiative here, so just basically to resolve this problem. So alright, I'm going to mull that one over anyways, but that is it for turn 2, and the battle slowly moves on. I feel like we're behind schedule with the Americans here. We need to be at Palermo in the next 2 turns and hopefully capture it, or we're going to lose some victory points there as well. So alright, that's it for turn 2, on to turn 3.